So the case is over, but everybody's talking. Okay, everybody's talking. The Camelo side is talking. The Metcalf side is talking. And I have to say this, okay, and I really mean this seriously. I understand how Austin's parents are feeling. They've lost a child. But this is also why we have a judicial or a court system, and the child has been sentenced. And from their own words, they are satisfied with the courts. And also, Austin's father has publicly said that he's forgiven Carmelo Anthony. But this is the only part of the conversation that I don't like. And I wanted to make sure that I talk about this. This case has the potential to be the pivot point for conflict between black people and white people. As you can tell throughout the trial, and this is also why the judge didn't want cameras in the room. There's been a lot of misinformation about this case. And the longer this drags on, the more and more division and also the higher potential that people are going to get hurt. As we've seen some black activists do some nonsense. Some of them are pissing on graves, and not in real life, but they're posting memes like that. And this is really not healthy for racial relations in a multiracial society. But I wanted to make sure that I was very clear in saying that I understand what he's going through. Okay, I do. I know it's very painful. But if you've said publicly that you have forgiven, then I think it's only fair that, in my opinion, and I'm a nobody, I think it's best that starting next week, these two groups start talking about this. The case is done, it's over, there's an appeal process. They can go through the appellate courts, and whatever comes out of appeal, I hope it's dead and final so that we can all move on to something else. Because the last time I checked, there's been more murders the last 24 hours and nobody's even talking about it. Now, let's go ahead and listen to what TMZ posted from a long clip from Austin Metcalf's dad, which I've watched other excerpts of it. But I just want to go through it, analyze it, and see, because some people are looking at this and saying, well, because he said this, he's racist and it has something to do with the child. I'm going to look at this objectively and give you my reaction to it. So let's get it.
There's no black jurors. You know why? Because you can't be unbiased, you dumb shit.
Okay, so the first assertion was that a lot of people are saying there's no black jurors. Yes, there was no black jurors, but it wasn't an all-white jury. And if you live in Collin County like I do, the jury did reflect the racial dynamics of this county.
Oh, there was no black jurors. You know why? Because you can't be unbiased, you dumb shit.
That's true. Black folks, to be honest, they can never be unbiased when it comes to these racial things. This is just based on the numerous cases that has happened in America and my personal interactions and experiences and the things that I see online and how a lot of these guys behave. Not everybody, but I don't think, there is not a thing like pro-white. I've never heard terms like that, but in the black community, they have things like pro-black, which means you're supposed to support anything black. I think that is racist, but hey, so things like that. If white folks do it, it's gonna sound like they're racist, but then black folks are allowed to do it and they get away with it. In my book, if one side can say something, the other side shouldn't. And if you're gonna say it, then I think it's fair game. This phrase that we just listened to, I don't see anything wrong with it, because I really think that a lot of these guys cannot be objective.
If you answer the question, I can't send a black man to jail because he's black, you're not getting on the jury.
That's true too. And we heard that it came out that a lot of them said they couldn't send a black person to jail. It was absolutely stupid, man. But let's keep going.
You're so unintelligent, you can't even fill out a form correctly. You don't even know who your daddy is because 78% of you don't have your father in the home anymore.
Okay, so the part where he's talking about most of not being intelligent, I think that's a bit of a stretch, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he's upset. He's gone through something very painful that I have never been through, so I can't tell him how to react. Now, is he saying that generally all blacks are not intelligent? I don't think that's what he said. But of course, the race hustlers are going to take that part and cut it and make it sound like he's trying to say that the black folks are not intelligent. Why I think there wasn't a big black representation in the jury pool in Collin County is because it's also not a predominantly black county. It's about 50% white and 50% others. That is why you see uh, a mixed but not black. There's not a lot of black families here. And actually, one thing that has never been mentioned in the media, a lot of black families that live in Collin County are immigrant blacks. So they are blacks like me, blacks from Nigeria, Ghana, the Caribbean, people whose folks have immigrated here or has intermarried with other black groups. That's what I see for the most part over here.
You got baby mamas running around with 8 kids so they can get EBT cards to feed you all.
I don't know about the 76 or whatever the percentage he said of absentee fathers in black homes, but that is a problem in the black community. And today I do have a video that I want to react to. Today I saw a video of a black creator who has a lot of following, about 500,000 plus. I guess he's a dating coach, explicitly telling black men not to get married. So once you remove that component, I don't know what their fear of marriage is, but and this is very typical with black red pill creators. If you're telling a whole bunch of men in that prime demographic that they shouldn't get married, does that mean they can have kids without being married? Well, if you remove marriage from the structure, then you're going to have these outcomes. Okay? Nobody wins when you tell your whole population not to get married. We know men get screwed. That is there. That is why you should do your vetting and make sure that you're doing this with a woman that understands what this is, and also somebody that believes in a shared and common goal. And that is service to your children and making sure you're giving your children the best outcomes. That is missing largely in the black community, and nobody's going to dispute that. I'll go to debate with anybody that wants to dispute that. Again, I think his statistics may be a little bit off, but it's a high majority of black kids are running around with no fathers in the home. Some of it is due to mass incarceration, some is due to just men leaving, and some is just to women not allowing the men into their kids' life. Different dynamics, but the outcome is the same. And there is something that I call your social trust score. You can talk about, oh, black fatigue is a racial slur or whatever it is, and these are all things that are designed to amplify the negative things that black people do. Well, all I say is do less negative stuff, and your social trust score is going to be high enough that most people will respect you. Like the Indians, okay? The Indians from Southeast Asia, they have a high social score, which makes them very trustworthy amongst all groups. It doesn't mean they don't do crimes like financial scams and all that, You guys get those robocalls, right? They have their own crimes. They do their own things, but nobody's out there bringing that to the forefront because there's other areas where they really dominate, like in science, technology, engineering, and math, that really puts them up there. And now, actually, they have better economic numbers than the white population. So this is what black folks should really look at. You have to start building that social trust score, because right now it's in the dump. I'm African, and I wouldn't even get into certain neighborhoods here in the Dallas area just because it's predominantly black, and that's not racist. That is because I know what goes on down there, and some people don't want to talk about it. On my channel, I talk about these things openly because I don't care, frankly. It is the truth.
You think I'm being racist? No, I'm being real. because it ain't only black people. White people do the same. I'll call them out just as hard as I'll call you out. Anybody who doesn't work, who wants free government handouts, who wants to live in a socialistic society, move to Russia. And normally, I don't normally attack people like this, but I have been cooped up and caged up in this anger. And this is something I'm trying to work on. I need to develop it and funnel it into a more constructive way. But tonight is the one time I'm going to allow myself. It's okay.
Yeah, I think it's okay for him to rant, but future state, I'm more concerned about future state. I think he needs to turn off his phone or turn off the camera, because these things, again, because of, again, in his own words, he didn't want this to be racial. The moment you start saying things like this, you're fanning the flames. And these things, the other side is doing it. They're doing more crazy stuff. This side is going to be doing more and more crazy stuff. And eventually it's going to turn into a riot, which I believe is actually the main goal since this trial started. This is why that Dominic Alexander dude was caught up. And I think he screwed up the family's chances of ever making this into a better defense case. The best for America is to accept the outcomes of the courts. The best for Collin County, my friend, Mr. Metcalf, I live here too. The best for us as a county is for us to move on from this. This kid really wasn't from here, okay? He came here for a better life from another part of the country. But there's people that have lived here much longer than that family. I don't even know if they're going to remain in Collin County. But you have to think about the extended Collin County. We're not a racist county. We've gotten along over the years in this county, no problems, okay? So this is one of those cases. That kid doesn't bring that knife to a track meet, doesn't commit that murder. Collin County would have never been on the map for any racial cases, right? So don't make any more videos. Don't decline all these press conferences. They're just trying to monetize off of your grief. And don't give the other side an opportunity to amplify their grift, because they've noticed that there is nothing that comes out of saving a child that murdered. You want to ask black folks, you want to ask yourself this question: where is Ben Crump? Okay? If you have a civil rights issue, there's two black people that you need to see over there: the Reverend Al Sharpton and Benjamin Crump. If you don't see none of these fools out there, that is because they know this is not one of those cases. They know it's a murder. This is why they went for a Timu version of Al Sharpton, who has a criminal record right here in Texas, who nobody respects. So you've won the case. You know, I know you're grieving. Get some counseling, get some help, get through it. And just shut off the phone. Don't give them an opportunity to make this situation evolve into a race riot that is going to make things worse for especially us, everybody, both groups that live in harmony right here in Collin County.
Tonight, I'm going to allow myself to say what I really want to say, because most of the time I don't say what I want to say because it's not correct. Just because you think something doesn't mean you believe it. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it wrong. Doesn't make it a fact. Oh, there was no black jurors. You know why? Because you can't be unbiased, you dumb